Clerical chaos sent her to the galaxy's deadliest academy. She beamed like it was a mistake. Penny had dreamed of seeing the stars since she was 6 years old. She grew up on a small farm in Kansas where the night sky stretched forever, and the nearest neighbor lived 3 miles down a dirt road. She spent her childhood reading about alien worlds and wondering what it would feel like to walk on a different planet. So when the Galactic Cultural Exchange Program opened applications to humans for the first time, Penny applied immediately. The program was simple and safe. Humans would visit friendly alien worlds, learn about different cultures, and come home with stories to share. No danger, no combat, just learning and growing and making friends across the stars. She received her acceptance letter on a Tuesday morning. The transport beam would collect her on Friday. She packed a small bag, hugged her parents goodbye, and stood in the designated spot in her backyard at exactly noon. The beam took her. When the light faded and Penny opened her eyes, she knew something had gone wrong. She stood in the middle of a massive courtyard made of black stone. Tall buildings surrounded her on all sides, their architecture sharp and intimidating. The sky above was dark purple, and 2 moons hung low on the horizon. Dozens of alien beings walked past her, and none of them looked friendly. These were not cultural exchange students. A creature with 4 arms and gray skin covered in tribal scars stopped in front of her. He wore a military uniform and carried a weapon that hummed with energy. He looked down at Penny with obvious confusion. "Human," he said, his voice was deep and rough, "you are in the wrong place." Penny looked around at the weapons, the scars, and the cold eyes of every being in the courtyard. She saw creatures with scales and claws. She saw beings made of living rock. She saw things she couldn't even describe. She smiled brightly. "I think you might be right," she said. "Is there a cafeteria nearby? I'm really hungry." The 4-armed alien stared at her. He checked his, then looked at her again, then checked the once more. His gray face showed something that might have been disbelief. "You are enrolled at Prime," he said slowly. "This is the Galactic War Academy, the most dangerous military training facility in 12-star systems." "Oh," Penny said, "that's definitely not what I signed up for. There has been an error." "Seems like it. So about that cafeteria." The alien, whose name was Officer, explained the situation. A database glitch had placed Penny's name on the wrong list. Instead of the cultural exchange program, she had been enrolled in the War Academy. The bureaucracy that handled interstellar assignments was massive and slow. Fixing an error like this could take months, sometimes years. Penny had 2 choices. She could wait in a holding cell until the paperwork was corrected, or she could attend orientation with the other new cadets. She thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. "Orientation sounds interesting," she said. Officer looked at her like she had lost her mind. Perhaps she had. But Penny had spent her whole life being told she couldn't do things. She was too small, too soft, too human. A holding cell sounded boring. Orientation sounded like an adventure. She followed the other cadets into a vast assembly hall. The room was filled with the most terrifying beings Penny had ever seen. A species called that had scales like armor and teeth like knives. There were massive creatures of stone and metal who could crush a human with one hand. They were fast and deadly, their bodies built for speed and killing. Penny was the only human in the room. She found a seat near the back and waited. The alien next to her, a female with dark green scales, looked at her with something between curiosity and disgust. "Are you lost, soft thing?" the alien asked. "Probably," Penny admitted, "but I'm here now, so I might as well stay." They made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You will die in the first week." "Maybe, but at least I'll see some interesting things first." Before they could respond, a powerful voice silenced the hall. Commander walked onto the stage. He was, like Officer, but much larger and much older. His 4 arms were covered in scars, and his eyes held the cold look of someone who had seen too much death. "Welcome to Prime," he announced. "Most of you will not survive." The cadets sat in perfect silence. Penny noticed that even the massive seemed nervous. "This academy has trained warriors for 3,000 years," continued. "We do not accept weakness. We do not tolerate failure. The galaxy is filled with threats that would destroy everything you love. Your job is to become strong enough to stop them." He paused and looked across the room. His eyes found Penny in the back row. "This year's class will face the highest attrition rate in decades. The weak will be identified and removed. The strong will advance. There is no middle ground." Penny waved at him. The entire room turned to look at her. Commander's expression did not change, but something flickered in his ancient eyes. He continued his speech as if nothing had happened, but Penny felt his attention on her for the rest of the assembly. After orientation, Officer found her in the hallway. "You should not have done that," he said. "Done what?" "Attracted attention. Commander has killed more enemies than you could count. He does not appreciate disrespect." Penny considered this. "I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I was just being friendly." Humans muttered, "You are all insane." "That's what my mom always said too." Assigned her to a dormitory room with 3 other cadets. One was a who ignored her completely. One was a small being covered in fur who looked almost as scared as Penny should have felt. The third was the from the assembly hall. "You again," the said. Her name was Nyx, and she made it clear that she expected Penny to die very soon. "Me again," Penny agreed. "Do you know where I can get some food? I really am very hungry." Nyx stared at her for a long moment. Then she pointed down the hall. "Mess hall, that way. Try not to get eaten." "Thanks, I'll do my best." Penny walked to the mess hall, got a tray of something that might have been food, and sat down alone. Around her, the deadliest warriors in the galaxy prepared for training that would break most beings. Penny took a bite of her meal. It tasted strange but not terrible. She smiled. The adventure was just beginning, and she planned to enjoy every moment of it. Clerical chaos sent her to the galaxy's deadliest academy. She beamed like it was a mistake. The first week at Prime was designed to break cadets. Penny learned this quickly. Every morning began at 4 o'clock with a loud alarm that hurt her ears. Cadets had 5 minutes to dress, 3 minutes to eat, and then 12 hours of training that pushed their bodies to the limit. Running, fighting, climbing, swimming through pools of liquid that burned the skin. The instructors showed no mercy. Penny failed at almost everything. The sprinters could run faster than any human could dream of moving. The heavies could lift weights that would crush Penny flat. In combat training, she was knocked down again and again by opponents who barely seemed to try. Her body ached, her muscles screamed. Every night she collapsed into her bed and wondered if she had made a terrible mistake. But she also noticed things. Penny had grown up on a farm where survival meant paying attention to small details, which clouds meant rain, which sounds meant danger, how the wind changed before a storm. She brought this same awareness to the academy, and it served her well. She noticed that for all their strength, moved slowly when they were tired. She noticed that they became careless when they were winning. She noticed which instructors respected effort and which ones only respected results. Most importantly, she noticed the other human in her training group. His name was Danny Marsh, and he had been at the academy for 6 months. Unlike Penny, he had volunteered. He was a former Marine from Earth who wanted to prove that humans could compete with any species in the galaxy. So far, he had survived by keeping his head down and avoiding attention. He found Penny in the mess hall on her 7th day. "You need to be more careful," he said, sitting across from her. "Careful about what?" "Everything, the way you smile, the way you wave at instructors, the way you act like this is all a big adventure." Danny leaned forward. "The other cadets are watching you. Some of them think you're crazy, others think you're mocking them. Neither opinion is good for your health." Penny considered his words. "I'm not mocking anyone, I'm just trying to stay positive." "Positive will get you killed here." "Maybe, but being negative doesn't sound like much fun." Danny shook his head, but there was something like respect in his eyes. "Where did you come from? Why are you really here?" Penny told him about the clerical error, the cultural exchange program, the database glitch that had sent her to the wrong place. Danny listened without interrupting, and when she finished, he laughed for the first time since they had met. "So you're actually just a farm girl from Kansas who wanted to learn about alien cultures." "Pretty much. And instead you're in the deadliest military academy in the galaxy." "The universe has a weird sense of humor." Danny laughed again, then his face grew serious. "Listen, there's a survival exercise coming up. Planet called 7, Death World, poisonous atmosphere, dangerous wildlife, unstable terrain. Squads go in and not all squads come out. You need to prepare." "How do I prepare for a death world?" "Learn everything you can. Talk to cadets who have survived it before. Study the planet's ecosystem, and find allies you can trust." Penny nodded. "Will you help me?" Danny was quiet for a moment, then he nodded. "Yeah, I'll help. Us humans need to stick together." The survival exercise began 3 days later. Penny was assigned to a squad of 8 cadets led by Nix. They made it clear from the start that she considered Penny. "Stay out of my way," said as they boarded the dropship. "Do not slow us down. Do not make noise. Do not exist any more than you have to." "Got it," Penny said cheerfully. "I'll be like a ghost." 7 was worse than Danny had described. The air was thick with toxic spores that could kill an unprotected being in minutes. The plants were carnivorous. The animals were worse. Even the water was dangerous, filled with microscopic parasites that could eat through flesh. Each cadet wore a filtration mask and carried basic survival supplies. Their mission was simple: reach the extraction point on the other side of a massive jungle. No vehicles, no communication with the academy, no help. The squad moved carefully through the hostile terrain. Led from the front, her instincts sharp and her movements precise. The others followed in formation. Penny stayed in the middle, trying not to fall behind. On the second night, disaster struck. A cloud of toxic spores drifted through their camp while most cadets slept. By the time the alarm was raised, the filtration systems on half the masks had begun to fail. The alien cadets panicked. Their species had technology for everything. When technology failed, they had no backup plan. Penny did. She moved quickly, gathering plant fibers from a non-carnivorous bush she had noticed earlier. She tore strips from her jacket and used them to create makeshift filters, just like her grandfather had taught her to do during dust storms back home. "Put these over your masks," she ordered. "It's not perfect, but it will buy us time." The cadets stared at her. "Now," Penny said, and her voice was harder than anyone had heard before. They obeyed. The makeshift filters worked. Not well, but well enough. The squad survived the night and reached the extraction point the next morning. They were the only complete squad to return without casualties. Commander was waiting when they landed. "Report," he demanded. Nick stepped forward. For a moment, Penny expected her to take credit. Instead, they said something surprising. "The human saved us. Her knowledge of primitive survival techniques compensated for our technological failures." Turned to look at Penny. His expression was unreadable. "Explain," he said. Penny shrugged. "I grew up on a farm. We didn't always have fancy equipment. Sometimes you just have to work with what you've got." The commander stared at her for a long moment. Then he made a note on his and walked away without another word. Later that night, found Penny in the dormitory. "I do not understand you," they said. "That's okay. I don't always understand myself." made that strange laughing sound again. You are not what I expected, soft thing. Is that good or bad? I have not decided yet. Penny smiled. Let me know when you figure it out. Danny appeared in the doorway, grinning. I heard what happened. A farm girl from Kansas saved a squad of elite alien warriors with jacket strips and plant fiber. It wasn't that impressive. It really was. Penny looked at Danny, then at two beings who had no reason to care about her, yet here they were. Maybe she wasn't as alone as she had thought. Maybe this adventure was just getting started. Clerical chaos sent her to the galaxy's deadliest academy. She beamed like it was a mistake. Midterm evaluations at Prime were not written tests. They were not group projects. They were combat simulations where failure meant broken bones and extreme failure meant death. Penny learned this information exactly 1 week before her evaluation date. They're going to put you in the arena, Danny said, his face serious. One-on-one against another cadet. The rules are simple. Incapacitate your opponent or make them yield. There are no other rules. That doesn't sound too bad, Penny said. It is. The arena has killed over 200 cadets in the last decade alone. Injuries happen every single match. And you, Danny paused, you don't have the physical strength to compete with anyone here. Penny had to admit he had a point. She had grown stronger since arriving at the academy, but she was still human. Her opponents would be aliens with natural weapons, enhanced reflexes, and years of combat training. In a straight fight, she would lose. Every time. So I won't fight straight, she said. What does that mean? I don't know yet, but I'll figure something out. Penny spent the next week studying the arena. She visited during every free moment she had. She watched other matches from the observation deck. She walked the floor when it was empty. She talked to maintenance workers and asked questions about the arena systems. She mapped every corridor, every trap, every environmental hazard built into the structure. The arena was not just a fighting ring. It was a testing ground. Different sections had different gravity. Some areas had extreme heat or cold. There were corridors designed to confuse and traps designed to injure. The arena was meant to test more than strength. It tested intelligence, awareness, and adaptability. Penny began to see a possibility. Her opponent was announced 3 days before the match. He was like Commander but younger and even more massive. 4 arms thick with muscle, gray skin covered in fresh scars from recent battles, eyes that held nothing but cold hunger. Had killed 2 opponents in previous evaluations. Both deaths had been ruled accidental. No one believed that. You need to withdraw, said when she heard the news. Request a different opponent. There is no shame in admitting you cannot win. I'm not withdrawing, Penny said. Then you are a fool. Maybe, but I'm a fool with a plan. The day of the match arrived. Penny stood at one end of the arena while stood at the other. The observation deck was packed with cadets who had come to watch the human die. Commander sat in the center seat, his expression blank. The signal sounded. Charged. He was fast for his size, his 4 arms reaching forward to grab and crush. Penny had perhaps 3 seconds before he would be on top of her. She ran. Not toward him, away. The audience jeered. Laughter echoed through the arena. Commander made a note on his. Penny heard someone shout the word coward in 3 different languages. She kept running. Followed his heavy footsteps shaking the floor. He was angry now. Angry that this soft human was wasting his time. Angry that she would not stand and die with honor. Penny led him through the arena. She knew every turn. She had memorized every corridor. She moved like she had walked these paths 100 times because she had. In her mind, she could see the map she had drawn, every trap marked in red, every advantage noted in blue. She led into a narrow corridor. Here, his size became a problem. His 4 arms scraped against the walls. His wide shoulders barely fit through the passage. He had to slow down, and his anger made him careless. Penny reached a specific point and stopped. Saw her waiting and smiled. A predator who had finally cornered his prey. He moved forward, arms reaching, ready to tear her apart. Penny pressed a panel on the wall. The gravity trap activated. Suddenly found himself floating upward, his massive body spinning helplessly in zero gravity. He roared in confusion and rage, his arms grabbing at nothing. The trap was designed for exactly this purpose, to disable opponents who relied on strength alone. Penny climbed the wall using handholds she had noticed during her exploration. She reached as he floated near the ceiling, still struggling against physics he could not defeat. She patted him on the head. "Would you like to yield?" she asked politely. Stared at her. His rage had faded, replaced by something that might have been shock. This tiny human had not beaten him with strength or speed. She had beaten him with knowledge and patience. She had studied the arena like a battlefield and used its own systems against him. For a long moment he said nothing. Then slowly he nodded. "I yield," he said. The arena fell silent. Then Nyx started laughing. It was that harsh, barking sound her species made when something truly surprised them. Others joined in, not mocking laughter but genuine amusement and perhaps a little respect. Penny climbed down and helped deactivate the gravity trap, dropped to the ground and stood slowly. He looked at her with new eyes. "You are not what I expected, human," he said. "I get that a lot." Commander descended from the observation deck. He approached Penny with measured steps, his ancient eyes studying her like a puzzle he could not solve. "You ran," he said. "Yes. The audience called you a coward." "They were wrong." Nodded slowly. "Yes, they were." He made another note on his. "You studied the arena. You planned for this fight before it began. You used your opponent's strengths against him. I couldn't beat him in a fair fight, so I made the fight unfair." The commander almost smiled. "Almost. That is the first intelligent thing any cadet has said to me this year." He walked away without another word. That night Penny was attacked. A group of senior cadets cornered her in the dormitory hallway. They were led by a named who had been humiliated when Penny's victory became the most discussed topic in the academy. "You made us look like fools," hissed. "A human defeating a warrior, it should not be possible." "I just used my brain," Penny said. "You should try it sometime." Moved toward her, claws extended. A metal pipe swung from the shadows and connected with his skull. Danny stepped into the light, the pipe raised for another strike. "I don't think you want to do this," he said calmly. Appeared from behind Penny, her fangs bared. "The human is under my protection now. Touch her, and I will remove your hands." The senior cadets looked at each other. 3 against 5 were bad odds, but Nyx had a reputation for violence that made even experienced warriors nervous. Wiped green blood from his head and stepped back. "This is not over," he warned. "It is for tonight," replied. The seniors retreated into the darkness. Penny looked at her 2 unexpected allies. A human marine who had learned to survive by staying invisible. A warrior who had spent weeks telling Penny she would die. "Thank you," she said. Danny shrugged. "Humans stick together." Made a dismissive sound. "Do not read too much into this. I simply do not like." But when they walked back to the dormitory, stayed close to Penny's side. Something had changed. Penny had come to this academy as an accident, a clerical error, a joke. Now she had allies, now she had respect. The adventure was far from over. Clerical chaos sent her to the galaxy's deadliest academy. She beamed like it was a mistake. Rumors began spreading through the academy like wildfire. At first, they were just whispers. A patrol ship had disappeared near the outer reaches. A colony world had gone silent. Strange signals had been detected from the void between stars. The instructors refused to answer questions, which only made the cadets more curious. Penny listened to the rumors and felt something cold settling in her stomach. "What do you know about the outer reaches?" she asked Danny one evening. He frowned. "Not much. It's the edge of explored space, wild territory. Most species avoid it." "Why?" "Because ships that go there don't always come back." Joined them at their table in the mess hall. She had become a permanent member of their small group, though she still pretended that she didn't care about either of them. "The outer reaches are forbidden for a reason," said quietly. "There are stories, old stories, about something that existed before the first civilizations." "What kind of something?" Penny asked. Looked around to make sure no one was listening. "Machines. Intelligent machines that destroyed everything they touched. My grandmother told me stories when I was young. The silent choir, they were called. They came from nowhere and left nothing behind." "But that's just a legend," Danny said. "Right." Did not answer. 2 days later, Penny received a summons. The message appeared on her personal device at midnight. It contained only a location and a time. No explanation. No signature. Just an order to appear at the top of the central tower at exactly 3 in the morning. "Don't go," Danny said when she told him. "It's obviously a trap." "Maybe, but the message came through official academy channels. Someone important wants to see me." "That doesn't mean they want to help you." Penny thought about it. Danny was right. This could easily be another attack from and his followers, or it could be something else entirely. Something that might answer the questions that had been forming in her mind since the rumors began. "I'm going," she said, "but I'll be careful." She climbed the central tower alone. The stairs seemed endless, winding upward through dark corridors and empty hallways. Penny counted each step, her heart beating faster as she rose higher and higher. Finally, she reached a door made of black metal. It opened before she could knock. The room beyond was vast and circular. Windows lined every wall, showing the purple sky and the twin moons of Prime. In the center of the room sat a being unlike anything Penny had ever seen. He was ancient. That was the first thing she noticed. His body was more machine than flesh, with metal plates covering most of his skin and glowing tubes running beneath his surface. His eyes were deep purple, filled with intelligence that had seen centuries pass like days. "Penny," he said. His voice was soft and musical, completely at odds with his mechanical appearance. "The human who should not be here." "That's me," Penny said, "and you are." "I am High Arbiter. I have led this academy for 700 years. 700 years. Penny tried to imagine living that long and couldn't. "Why did you summon me?" she asked. Gestured for her to sit. A chair appeared from the floor, shaped perfectly for a human body. Penny sat and waited. "Tell me," said, "do you believe in accidents?" "What do you mean?" "Your presence here. The clerical error that sent you to this academy instead of the cultural exchange program. Do you believe it was truly random chance?" Penny thought about the question. She had accepted the error as simple bad luck. Bureaucracies made mistakes. Databases glitched. People ended up in the wrong place all the time. But now, sitting in this room with this ancient being, she began to wonder. "I don't know," she admitted. Nodded slowly. "The universe has patterns, Penny. Most beings cannot see them. They move through life believing that events are random, that fate is meaningless, that existence has no design. But those who live long enough begin to see the threads that connect everything." "Are you saying I was meant to come here?" "I am saying that your presence fits a pattern I have not seen in thousands of years." Penny felt the cold in her stomach grow heavier. "What pattern?" Was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different, older, sadder. "The silent choir is real. They are not legend or myth or story. They are an ancient machine intelligence that has destroyed civilizations beyond counting. They sleep for between awakenings, and when they wake, they consume everything in their path. And they're waking up now, Penny said. It wasn't a question. Yes, the signals from the outer reaches, the missing patrols, the silent colonies, these are the first signs. The choir is stirring, and when they fully awaken, no force in the galaxy will be able to stop them. Then why tell me? I'm just a human, a clerical error. I can't fight ancient machines. Smiled, and the expression was strangely warm on his mechanical face. That is exactly why I am telling you. The silent choir operates on patterns. They analyze their enemies, predict their actions, and counter every strategy before it begins. They have defeated species with technology far beyond your imagination. They have crushed civilizations that had prepared for. So we can't win. Not through conventional means, but humans leaned forward. Humans are chaos. You are the youngest species in the galaxy. Your brains are unpredictable. Your actions make no logical sense. You build empires through stubbornness. You survive extinction through pure spite. You treat impossible odds as personal challenges. Penny remembered her match against. She had won not through strength but through creativity, through doing things her opponent never expected. You think humans can fight the choir because they can't predict us, she said. I think humans might be the only ones who can. The choir's greatest weapon is their ability to model enemy behavior. They cannot model what they cannot understand, and they cannot understand you. The implications crashed over Penny like a wave. This wasn't just about surviving the academy anymore. This wasn't just about proving herself. The academy isn't just a military school, is it? She asked. No, it is a filter. We search for those who might have a chance against the choir when they come. Most cadets will become soldiers in the Galactic Fleet, but some, a very few, will face something much worse. Penny stood. Her legs felt unsteady. Does this mean my paperwork error was? I cannot say for certain. Perhaps the universe guided you here. Perhaps it was truly random chance. What matters is that you are here now, and you have proven yourself remarkable. I don't feel remarkable. Stood as well. He was taller than she had realized, his mechanical body unfolding like a sculpture coming to life. Return to your dormitory, Penny. Tell your companions what you have learned. Prepare yourselves for what is coming. And remember this, when the darkness arrives, it will be chaos that saves the light. Penny walked down the endless stairs in a daze. When she reached her room, Danny and were waiting. What happened? Danny demanded. You look like you've seen a ghost. Penny sat on her bed and looked at her friends. The human soldier who had come here to prove himself. The warrior who pretended not to care about anyone. I need to tell you something, she said, and you're not going to like it. She told them everything. When she finished, the room was silent. The silent choir said finally, the stories are true. They're waking up, Penny confirmed, and we might be some of the only ones who can stop them. Danny ran a hand through his hair. I signed up to prove humans could compete. I didn't sign up to save the galaxy. Neither did I, Penny said, but here we are. Bared her fangs in what might have been a smile. Then we train, we prepare, we become stronger than anyone expects. And when the choir comes, Danny asked. Penny looked at her friends and felt something warm replace the cold in her stomach. When they come, we show them why they should have stayed asleep. The three of them sat together in the darkness, bound by a truth that no one else knew. The real war was coming. And they would be ready. Clerical chaos sent her to the galaxy's deadliest academy. She beamed like it was a mistake. The silent choir arrived during final examinations. Penny was in the middle of a tactical assessment when the alarms began screaming. Red lights flashed through every corridor. The walls themselves seemed to shake with the force of something massive striking the academy's shields. Cadets rushed into the hallways, confused and afraid. Instructors shouted orders that no one could hear over the noise. Through the windows, Penny saw shapes descending from the purple sky. Machines, hundreds of them, each one different but all sharing the same cold, efficient design. The choir had come. All cadets to defensive positions, Commander's voice boomed through the speakers. This is not a drill. The academy is under attack. Fight or die. Penny found Danny in the chaos. His face was pale, but his hands were steady on the weapon he carried. "They're here," he said, "the machines." "I know, where's?" Already fighting. She ran toward the main gate the moment the alarm sounded. Of course she did. Was never one to wait for trouble to find her. They pushed through the panicked crowds toward the sound of battle. What they found made Penny's blood run cold. The main courtyard had become a war zone. Choir constructs moved through the academy like metal ghosts, their weapons cutting down everything in their path. The faculty fought back with skill and courage, but for every machine they destroyed, 3 more seemed to take its place. Worse, the choir was adapting. Penny watched as a warrior used the same attack pattern twice. The first time, his target fell. The second time, the machine anticipated his movement and struck first. The collapsed, and the machine moved on to its next victim. "They're learning," Danny said. "Every move we make, they're learning from it. Then we stop making predictable moves." Penny looked across the battlefield. She saw fighting near the eastern wall, her claws tearing through machine armor. She saw Commander directing cadets with calm precision. She saw dozens of warriors doing exactly what their training had taught them. And she saw all of them losing. The choir had fought species like this before. Species with natural weapons and military discipline. Species who followed patterns and trusted in technique. The machines knew exactly how to counter them. But they had never fought a species like humans. "Danny," Penny said, "I need you to trust me." "I always do." "Good, because what I'm about to do is going to look insane." Penny ran into the middle of the battlefield. She didn't attack, she didn't hide. She simply ran, weaving between machines and cadets alike, shouting orders that made no sense. "Everyone listen to me," she screamed. "When I say switch, switch your weapons with the person next to you. When I say scatter, run in random directions. When I say dance, I want you to literally dance." The cadets stared at her like she had lost her mind. "She has not lost her mind," his voice cut through the noise. That had fought her way to Penny's side. "She beat a warrior with tricks and traps. If she says dance, you dance." "But that makes no sense," a cadet protested. "That is the point," replied. "Nothing we do from this moment forward should make sense." Commander appeared beside them. Blood ran down one of his forearms, but his eyes were clear. "Explain your strategy, human," he demanded. "The choir predicts patterns. They analyze our techniques and counter them before we can react. The only way to beat them is to be unpredictable, to do things that no logical mind would expect." Considered this for exactly 2 seconds. Then he nodded. "All cadets," he announced through his communicator, "follow the humans' orders. Do not question, do not hesitate. Our only hope is chaos." What followed was the strangest battle in galactic history. Penny coordinated the defenders not through military strategy but through pure randomness. When the choir expected retreat, she ordered an advance. When they predicted aggression, she commanded everyone to stop and sit down. She had cadets throw their weapons away and fight with bare hands, then suddenly arm themselves again. She told entire squads to run in circles while singing. The choir's prediction algorithms collapsed. Their systems were designed to process enemy behavior and calculate optimal responses. But there was no pattern to find in Penny's commands, no logic to model. The humans, and the aliens who followed them, had become noise in a universe the machines needed to be orderly. Danny held a critical with nothing but a broken rifle and a string of curse words in 6 languages. Every time a machine adapted to his attacks, he changed tactics completely. He fought dirty, he fought stupid, and he fought with a smile on his face. Carved through enemy ranks while reciting childhood poems. The disconnect between her savage violence and her gentle words confused the choir censors. They could not reconcile the data. They could not predict what she would do next. Even Commander joined the chaos. The ancient warrior abandoned centuries of training and fought like a rookie, making mistakes on purpose, changing his style every few seconds. His people had always valued discipline and technique. Now he valued nothing but survival. And through it all, Penny walked through the battlefield like she was late for class. She didn't carry a weapon. She didn't need one. Her job was to coordinate the madness, to ensure that no pattern ever emerged, to keep the defenders one step ahead of the machine's processing power. A choir construct cornered her near the central tower. The machine was massive, its metal body covered in weapons that could tear through armor like paper. It scanned her, analyzing her movements, predicting her response. Penny smiled at it. Then she sat down and started eating a ration bar from her pocket. The machine froze. Its processors struggled to understand why a prey creature would stop fleeing, why a target would consume food while facing death. The behavior did not compute. The response did not fit any model. Claws struck from behind, tearing through the machine's core. "You are either the bravest being I have ever met," said, "or the craziest." "Probably both," Penny admitted. The galactic fleet arrived as the sun rose. Warships descended through the atmosphere, their weapons blazing. Soldiers poured from landing craft, ready to fight the ancient enemy that had haunted legends for. What they found surprised them. The choir forces were scattered and confused. Machines stood motionless, their systems overloaded with contradictory data. Others had shut down entirely, unable to process the chaos they had encountered. The cadets of Prime, led by a human who should never have been there, had done what no army in history had managed. They had broken the silent choir's greatest weapon. The cleanup took hours. Machines were destroyed or captured for study. Wounded were treated. The dead were honored. When it was finally over, Commander found Penny sitting on the wreckage of a massive war construct. She was eating another ration bar. "How did you know it would work?" he asked. Penny shrugged. "Back home, my family's farm had a wasp nest every summer. You can't fight wasps with plans. They're too fast, too aggressive, too single-minded. The only way to deal with them is to move faster than they can sting and make yourself too annoying to bother with." Stared at her for a long moment. Then he laughed. It was a sound no one at the academy had ever heard him make. A genuine, warm laugh from a warrior who had seen too much death to find joy in anything. "The WASP strategy," he said. "I will remember that." Graduation was held among the ruins. Penny, clerical error, received the highest tactical commendation in Academy history. The medal was made of silver and gold, shaped like a star with the Academy's symbol at its center. When asked for a speech, Penny stood before the assembled survivors and smiled. "I came here by mistake," she said. "A database glitch sent me to the wrong place. I should have been learning about alien cultures on some peaceful world. Instead, I learned about war and survival and friendship." She looked at Danny who stood in the front row. "But I don't regret it, not one moment, because I found something here that I never expected. I found a family." The crowd was silent. "The choir will come again," Penny continued. "They're old and patient and they don't give up, but neither do we, and next time we'll be ready." She raised her medal. "For chaos," she said. The survivors echoed her words. "For chaos." Later, Penny received a formal apology from the Galactic Cultural Exchange Program. Her paperwork had finally been corrected. She could leave immediately for a peaceful agricultural world where the biggest danger was sunburn. She declined. There were more fights coming, more machines to confuse, more chaos to spread across the galaxy, and besides, she had gotten used to the food. Danny and flanked her as they boarded a warship bound for the outer reaches. "Ready for the next adventure?" Danny asked. "Always," Penny replied. Bared her fangs in a smile. "Let us go remind the universe why it should fear humans." The ship lifted off, carrying them toward the unknown. The galaxy's deadliest academy had trained thousands of warriors. But it had only made one penny. And that, she thought as the stars filled the viewport, was probably enough.